Hello, Parkville, Carney. Happy Friday, and welcome back to another edition of Local Business Spotlight. I'm Chris Montcalmo with NottinghamMD.com, your Parkville Carney Business Association president. And on Local Business Spotlight, we're talking with our member businesses, and we're talking about the pandemic and how they're evolving in the face of this ever-changing situation. And my guest today is a gentleman I've known for quite a few years now, Mr. Andy Smith with Mid-Atlantic Wealth Advisors. How you doing, Andy?
Hey, I'm well. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on this soggy, damp Memorial Day weekend Friday. I guess if nothing else, if the weather gets too bad, we can head to the beach, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Are we allowed to do that?
I don't know. I've lost track of what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do, but at least it's the weekend and it's a long one at that. So
Absolutely.
Glad to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself first. Are you from the area originally?
I am. I was born in Baltimore. Grew up in Parkville. Went to Villa Cresta, for kindergarten.
Oh, yeah.
For those from Parkville, they may know it. And then went to grade school nearby, a school that doesn't exist anymore. Went to Loyola High School, which is the typical question, right?
Yes. I forgot we were fellow Dons. Yeah.
That's right. We're all Dons.
Yeah.
So born and raised in the Baltimore area. Went to Gettysburg College after Loyola, and then lived in New England for several years, and then moved back to the Baltimore area.
Okay. Very good.
And I've been a member of the Parkville Carney Business Association for most of the years I've been back, actually.
Yeah. If memory serves, weren't you even vice president at one point back in the day? Or yeah,
that was quite a few years ago now.
Right.
But geez, I think I'm pretty close to 15 years membership, something like that.
Wow, that's great.
So
I'll let you in on a little secret. You went to Loyola. I went to Loyola. My brother went to Loyola. My father-in-law and my brother-in-law went to Loyola, but my wife teaches at Calvert Hall.
Oh,
so,
geez.
Yeah.
Well,
and my mother-in-law used to teach at Calvert Hall. So the Thanksgiving Day Turkey Bowl has gotten real interesting around the Montcalmo household. So
I bet. Yeah.
So how long have you been with Mid-Atlantic Wealth Advisors?
Well, I've been in business about 16 years. We have been Mid-Atlantic Wealth Advisors, which was more of a name change.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm going to say 3 years as Mid-Atlantic Wealth Advisors. Not certain of the exact dates there.
Right.
But it's been the same group that I'm working with, the same team. We have a team of about 7 advisors.
Right.
And it's been the same group for my whole time in business.
Right. And how long ago now was the name change? I remember that. It seems like it was 2 or 3 years ago, maybe? Is that?
That's right. I would say maybe 3 years, but maybe 2. I'm not certain on that. Yeah.
Right. So tell us about what exactly Mid-Atlantic Wealth Advisors does. I know that from the fact that I used to sell investments myself, you're kind of limited into what you can get into, but tell us what you can.
Well, we're an independent firm, which means that we are not captive to any particular company's offerings or products.
Right.
So what we do is unique for each client.
Right.
But in general, what we're doing is we're doing planning, individual planning for each particular client to help them accomplish their financial goals.
Sure.
So there's not a broad brush that we try to paint every client with, but there are certainly similar processes that we go through for each person. And one big part of those processes is sitting down with our clients and discussing what their goals are. And so, for example, if we had someone who's talking about retiring or retirement, we want to figure out, kind of enumerate with numbers, say how much money or income do you need when you retire? How much would you like to have? Okay, so there's a difference there.
Oh yeah,
and
especially now.
Sure,
right.
Sure. Well, we've been through these ups and downs a few times, and they have similar threads. When we talk about recessions, there are similar threads and there are unique. Sure. So we know some of the uniqueness of this situation, but yeah. So to get back to what we do is we talk to our clients, figure out where they want to be and where they need to be, and then come up with a plan to get there. Okay, so we figure out how much they want to have, how much they need to have, and try to accomplish what they want.
Sure.
And so then there's just a lot of calculations and projections that go into that, and then we come up with a plan that works. And one of the things, most important things about being successful with accomplishing your long-term financial goals is sticking to a plan.
Absolutely.
So, we revise and adjust the plan as we revisit it when we review with clients, but sticking with a systematic way or a systematic way of accomplishing something is the way that you want to do it. Is you just want to stick with your plan. That's basically what we do. That's
probably the part that takes the most discipline, and that's probably where you come in to help them stay on track. And
discipline. That's a number. That's key. That's correct. That is a key, a big key to accomplishing our goals. So we get into good habits. You can call it discipline. Sounds maybe a little negative, but it's true.
Yeah.
Just getting good habits. It's about developing habits, and the habits that are going to make you successful in the long run. That's basically what we do.
Would you say that retirement planning is the main aspect that you focus on, or is it just sort of any type of, whether it's, saving for a child for college, or maybe a home purchase down the road, or long-term, short-term?
We do all of that. We can help with all those objectives. I just have probably a vast majority of our clients have a longer-term goal, such as retirement.
Sure.
And that's probably, that's a lifetime of saving to get to that. But yeah, we do help with the other mid-term, intermediate term, shorter term goals, and they're all handled a little bit differently, but the process is very similar from one to the next. So what we, you mentioned kind of our focus. That's part of it. There are unique situations for each client that we can help them take advantage of.
Right.
And for example, here's a unique situation that cropped up with the, this kind of quarantine, the COVID, epidemic or pandemic here is now our taxes are due later.
Right.
So as a result, everyone is eligible, not 100% everyone, but most people are eligible to contribute to their IRA for 2019. And that will reduce your tax liability for 2019 or increase your return if you're eligible for a return.
So they can now do that up through June? July. Okay.
Yeah. So
wow, good to know.
They push the due date back. That's one of the things we talk about. Usually by May, I'm finished talking about this.
Right.
But in this situation, we can still talk about it. There are plans that we can put in place for 2019. And that includes not just individuals, but business owners, which is kind of one of the specialties that we work with, business, self-employed people or people who have small businesses. There are plans that they can put in place and get substantial deductions for 2019, put money away for themselves for the long term, and realize a tax benefit now. So on top of that, market's pretty much down right now. I mean, we're
how else are you pivoting given the pandemic and the market downturn and all that fun stuff?
So what we're doing is we've kind of changed the way we have to interact with our clients. So we have a lot of capabilities. There's a lot of technology out there.
Sure.
But reaching out to clients and asking how they would like to review things. For example, all right, we can't meet face to face like we traditionally would or normally would like to do.
Right.
We can do something like this. We can do remote interviews. We can do
Sure.
Zoom. Zoom is a program that a lot of people are probably familiar with.
Right.
And we have that capability. I've done Microsoft Teams. I've done WebEx meetings. So I kind of like to be flexible.
Yeah.
We have, depending on what someone might be comfortable with, would be what we would choose to use. So we've had to just kind of get in the habit now of doing these things.
Sure.
And it is an adjustment for us as a firm. It's an adjustment for our clients, as well, because they're used to seeing us face to face as well. I mean,
right.
We're, as human beings, we're creatures that like social interaction.
Absolutely.
So it's difficult for everybody, and it requires an adjustment.
And I would think anyone who's going to allow someone to help them make financial decisions, I mean, obviously you've got to trust that person and feel comfortable with them. And now you're trying to foster that and generate that rapport, digitally, like via WebEx or Zoom. And that's got to be, plus not to mention, I can't imagine what kind of additional compliance red tape there must be when folks are discussing their finances electronically now and that sort of thing.
Right. That's a very good point. I think it's going to be a challenge, like I said, on both sides of the transaction. Clients have to become comfortable doing things electronically.
Sure.
So just demographically, a lot of the clients we deal with are on the older side. So that's a challenge.
Right.
We all have to deal with it. And, we're doing what we can to ease that.
Sure.
We can do, before we have an actual meeting, we can do like kind of just a trial run. Okay, let's try this. I'll send you a link to Zoom. Click on the link. Let's see if we can get it to work.
Right.
But we can do things the more old-fashioned way. I could always mail paperwork out to someone, mail statements, and
snail mail and
right. I mean, we can do that.
Right.
We're flexible, and you have to be flexible. And everyone's going to have their own comfort level with how quickly they can adapt to these technologies that we're using.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and remain as flexible as possible for people. And certainly it's going to be a challenge for everyone involved. But anytime that there's a disruption, there's opportunities. I mean,
absolutely. Yep, for sure.
For people such as myself to adopt these technologies and maybe streamline our services in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've said it before on the show here. I mean, I think if anything, one of the upsides of this pandemic is that people are embracing technology. Everybody's kind of upping their game. I play music for a couple of churches and everyone's kind of, upping their live streaming game. And we probably will realize that, hey, you know what? We don't need to travel across town to have a meeting. We can just do it right here over the computer. I mean, it's always preferable to meet face to face and shake someone's hand, but at least we know now that this is an option.
That's correct. Seeing Chris Montcalmo live,
that's right.
Definitely a different experience than seeing
That's right.
you
As a musician, I'm fortunate that I started live streaming my music 2 or 3 years ago and got familiar with all the different live streaming platforms because so many of my friends who are musicians now are trying to catch up. How do I do Facebook Live and how do I use Periscope and Zoom and all that fun stuff. So, as I often like to say, what a time to be alive, right?
Right.
So,
well,
all
perhaps
right, Andy,
you were born for that time.
tell us something that folks may not know about you, a little known fact about Andy Smith.
Little known fact about Andy Smith is that prior to getting into this business and becoming an advisor, I was a research scientist for a private research company out of Columbus, Ohio.
Huh.
And that was the company I was working for when I was working for several years up in the New England region of the country. What we did there was I was a forensic chemist. Okay, so we focused on petroleum. So
Right.
we worked with a lot of petroleum forensics, which was interesting. It was very technical and very mathematical. Okay, so we used a lot of math and statistics. And that is kind of where and when I became enamored with the power of compounding interest.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? So,
the magic of compounding interest.
That's right.
When I used to work at the bank, we used to just kind of joke around with, fellow employees. You hear that? That's the sound of interest compounding.
That's right. It's a very powerful function.
Yeah.
And so becoming enamored with compounding interest kind of springboarded me into what I'm doing today, helping people accomplish their long-term goals through saving and investing.
Yeah. Yep. Gotcha. And I also I noticed that the beard is gone. Is that for the summer? Will that be back in the fall, or you're working on it?
Well, there are whiskers there.
There you go. All right.
I have not. It has not gotten any longer since I don't have a COVID beard.
You don't have a pandemic beard. Yeah.
That's right. It's
well, great, Andy.
This is my summer life.
There you go. Right. It gets itchy in the summer anyway. So thanks for coming on the show and spending some time with us and talking about Mid-Atlantic Wealth Advisors. If you're watching the replay, don't forget we have our first networking Zoom happy hour coming up this Wednesday at 5 p.m. Go to our Facebook page, look under events, and make sure you register so that we can send you. Actually, I think the Zoom link is in the description, but we would prefer if you register also so we know that you're coming and we can send you the link to the event. And Andy, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. It was very nice to talk to you, and I hope to see you at the Zoom on Wednesday.
That sounds good. Thanks, Andy. And thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll be back with another episode of Local Business Spotlight soon. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.